You break out of the egg and immediately realize two things. One, the water is a lot colder than you thought it would be. And two, there are about 300 siblings wriggling around you. All of them bumping into everything, and each other. It's chaos, and no one seems to know what they're doing. Your parents are long gone. Nobody's here to teach you anything. So good luck figuring it out. You float for a moment, trying to make sense of things when a sibling comes at you, like they're about to say hello. Nope. They're checking if you're edible. That's when you figure out the first rule of life. Stay invisible, or your dinner. You swim into a clump of plants and stay put, trying to be as unnoticeable as possible. Welcome to the world. Eventually, hunger kicks in. You need food, but you have zero idea what you're doing. A tiny worm wriggles past you, lunge at it mouth open, like you're some sort of apex predator. And miss by a solid mile. The worm doesn't even notice you. Try again. Miss another. Try. Miss. Honestly, it's embarrassing. On the fourth attempt, you finally manage to catch it. It's wiggly, slimy, and not exactly a gourmet meal. But it'll do. Victory is yours. Barely. You keep hunting. But it's very hit or miss. Mostly miss. Every now and then, something small enough to eat comes by, and you give it your best shot. Sometimes you catch it, and sometimes you just look ridiculous, snapping at empty water. You're not proud of it, but at least you're figuring it out. You spend the rest of your time hiding, in the shadows, wedged between plants, trying not to get noticed. A sibling swims by and snaps up a worm, like it's nothing. You consider snapping at them just to send a message, but they decide against it. That's the kind of energy you don't have, right? Now, a few weeks in, you've grown. You're faster, stronger, and smarter. You don't just float anymore. You move with purpose. You know when to wait, when to strike, and when to stay still. You hunt worms' larvae, and anything small enough to fit in your mouth. You don't miss as often. Now you're getting good at this. You leave the plants. More often, the open water isn't as scary as it used to be. The food is better out here. You spot a small shrimp and kick forward, catching it on the first try. You eat quickly and look around. Nothing moves. You venture further, scanning for more food. Then you see it. A heron. It lands in the water nearby, its long legs slicing through the surface. As it moves closer, you freeze, pressing yourself against the bottom. The heron stops its head turning as it scans the water. You don't move. It takes a step closer, its beak darting into the water to snap at something. You stay where you are. It moves again, and now it's right above you. You see its long shadow stretch over the lake bed as it freezes. Staring down, the beak plunges into the water. You kick hard, darting to the side. The heron follows, stabbing at the water again and again. You zigzag, kicking as fast as you can. It's close, its beak slicing just behind you. You aim for the plants and push harder, slipping between the stems. The heron's beak stabs into the plants, rustling the water around you. You press deeper into the cover, curling yourself tight against a stem. The heron waits. It doesn't move, neither do you. It takes another step, its long legs rippling the water. It stabs at the plants again, shaking the stems around you. You hold still, your gills barely moving. After a long moment, the heron steps back. It stands there waiting before finally turning, and waiting for further down the shallows. You don't move. You wait until it's far away. Its shadow long gone when you finally slip out. The light has dimmed. The day is almost over. You stay close to the plants. For the rest of the day, you don't risk. The open water, again, not yet, a couple of months in, and you've turned into a proper little predator. Worms and larvae aren't enough anymore. You're hunting small fish now, lunging at anything that gets too close. You're getting good at it. Or, at least, you think you are one day while stalking a small fish. You spot movement ahead, not a predator. It's familiar. It's that sibling, the one who was showing off earlier, snapping up worms, like they had some kind of cheat code. You both freeze, you stare at each other for a moment, and then, without warning, you both charge, you lunge forward and snap at them. They snap back. It's a mess. Neither of you is landing any hits, but you're both going at it, like your lives depend on it. You wiggle toward them, snapping wildly. They wiggle back, snapping just as wildly. It's less of a fight, and more like two drunk noodles bumping into each other. At one point, they bump your gill and you flinch so dramatically that it almost feels like a win for them. Almost. You try snapping at their tail, but they dart out of reach. They try snapping at your side, but miss completely for a solid few minutes. It's just the two of you flailing at the water, taking breaks to stare each other down, like you're about to say, "What exactly are we even doing?" Finally, your sibling decides they've had enough. They flick their tail and swim off all casual, like they weren't just flailing at you like a lunatic. You follow them for a few seconds just to make sure they know you're still the boss, obviously before turning back to the hunt. It wasn't much of a fight, but you still feel a little triumphant next time. Maybe you'll actually win for now. You focus on catching your next meal, which will definitely be smaller and far less complicated than your sibling. You've survived your first year and you're no longer the smallest thing in the lake. That's a win. But the real accomplishment, claiming your own little patch of territory, it didn't just fall into your lap. You had to earn it. It started when you found a perfect spot, plenty of plants for cover, a decent supply of worms and larvae, and enough space to stretch out without bumping into anything or anyone. But of course, it wasn't unoccupied. One of your siblings had gotten there. First, they floated near the plants, acting like they owned the place. You stared at them, and they stared. Back then, you puffed out your gills, just enough to look a little bigger, and swam toward them, like you meant business. You didn't snap or charge, just a slow, deliberate move, like you were daring them to stick around. They hesitated, flicked their tail, and started to back off. You kept coming steady and calm until they turned and bolted. No fight, no flailing, just you giving them the "don't even try it" treatment. Once they were gone, you settled into your new territory. It's not much, but it's yours. Your own little corner of the lake, with food cover and enough space to hunt, without anyone getting in your way. You patrol it regularly, just in case anyone else gets ideas. But so far, no one's dared to come back. You hunt, you rest, you keep an eye out for anything that doesn't belong. The lake hasn't changed. It's the same as it's always been. Shadows, food, danger, but in your little patch, you're in charge for now. That's all you need. By the time you're 2 years old, you've officially made it to adulthood. You're done growing, but that doesn't matter. You've got everything you need. Sharp hunting skills, sharper instincts, and just enough experience to know when to fight and when to swim away as fast as possible. Spoiler, most of the time, swimming away is the smart choice. Then one day, something feels off. It's mating season. You don't know how you know this, but you do. Everything feels different, more urgent, more competitive. It's like the entire lake got a memo, and now everyone's acting like they have something to prove. If you're a male, you start patrolling your territory more aggressively. You puff out your gills at every shadow, just in case. It's someone trying to challenge you most. Most of the time, it's nothing. Occasionally, it's a worm. You don't care. You've got to look intimidating. Then finally, you spot her. A female. She's calmly swimming through your territory. Like she doesn't even notice your effort to look cool. You kick forward, casually cutting her off. You both pause. She looks at you like she's sizing you up. You flare your gills and do a little circle, trying to show off your best angles. She doesn't seem impressed. You try snapping at the water to prove you're a top tier. Hunter, she turns slightly, as if debating whether to swim away. You panic and freeze eventually. After what feels like hours, she flicks her tail and swims deeper into your territory. Success! Probably. If you're a female, you've got it easier. You don't need to patrol or perform. You just casually cruise through the lake while males trip over themselves to impress you. One puffs out his gills so hard, he looks like he might explode. Another awkwardly circles you, bumping into a rock. Halfway through, one particularly ambitious male snaps at a worm, misses, and plays it off. Like it was intentional. You're not impressed. Eventually, you pick the least embarrassing option. Do your part and swim off to lay your eggs in a safe spot. Parenting, not your problem. They'll figure it out. Like you did, if you're the male you feel triumphant for about 5 seconds, then she's gone, and you're left swimming in circles, wondering if that went as well as you thought it did. You go back to patrolling your territory, like nothing happened, but deep down you feel kind of proud. Mating season doesn't last long, but it's exhausting by the end of it. You're back to hunting, hiding, and avoiding predators, acting like it was all no big deal. But still, you did it. You've officially contributed to the next generation of awkward, wiggly alot, who will go through the same thing someday. You can only hope they'll be slightly better at flirting than you. Or probably not. Though a few years later you're swimming through the water, doing what you've done 1,000 times before, hunting, moving, scanning the lake for food. Nothing unusual, just another day. You spot a small worm drifting nearby. You pause, watching it wriggle, lining up your next meal. Then it happens, something slams into you from behind, hard and fast. You